Hi everybody, Jeff Benson here with Mind Body Cheer. I'm also the best-selling author of the book Unblocked, The Walls Come Tumbling Down. I am a sports performance coach. What that means is that I travel around the country helping teams and athletes become the very best cheerleaders they can be. Sometimes this is strength training or flexibility training. I also work on improving your team's technique and increasing their skill level. The final thing I offer is mental toughness training. This is what I have found is keeping a lot of teams from reaching their fullest potential. Now that it's competition time, if you are like many of the coaches that I heard from this weekend, you're probably super frustrated by your athletes' current lack of mental toughness. Do you find that your teams are hitting their routine just fine in practice? They look awesome in the warm-up room. You cannot wait to perform. And then your team goes out on that competition floor and it looks like somebody's been throwing tomatoes at them. Stunts are falling all over the place. If so, you are not alone. Mental toughness is not something that happens by chance. In fact, mental toughness is something that has to be taught just like a cheerleading skill. We do drills when we learn back tucks. We do strength training when we do back tucks, right? We don't just do a back tuck over and over and over again and hopefully you'll get it. You have to intentionally teach it. Mental toughness is the exact same way. What I want to offer you all today is one of the many strategies that I use when I work with teams around the country on how to develop mental toughness. So, self-talk is just one part of mental toughness. Confidence would be another. Having a positive or a growth mindset would be an additional part of mental toughness. But I want to talk to you all today about self-talk. What I do is call my first strategy Mental Toughness Mondays. I mean, feel free. Mental Toughness Tuesdays, Mental Toughness Thursdays, Wacky Wednesday, Freaky Friday. I mean, feel free to put your own spin on it. Call it what you want. What you want to do is make this a memorable experience. What I do is sit a team of athletes down and I explain what self-talk is. So, self-talk, you guys, is that negative or positive voice that you hear inside your head before you take the performance floor, in the middle of your stunt as a flyer. So, I want you all right now to write down all that negative stuff. What is the really negative voices you hear? Let's say after a stunt falls in a routine. Or, when you are up in the top of the pyramid and your bracer lets go. That moment. I call it your critical coach. I want you all to write down all those critical voices that you hear. So, as the athletes are writing this down, I end up collecting all these papers. I ask them to stand up, and I'm going to ask them to do for me a full-out routine. I press play. Here on Mental Toughness Mondays, I now, throughout the routine, start yelling these critical coach thoughts. Sometimes I go as far as going up to a stunt group and screaming, "You're going to fall! You're never going to hit this! It's going to be all your fault again. You're going to cost your team the championship. You're never going to get a bid to the summit." At the end of this routine, we sit down and we process. This part's really important. Process what that was like for them. You'll hear things often like, "I was super exhausted. I found that my muscles were kind of giving up on me. It was really hard to get that last tumbling pass in. I was way out of breath in the dance." And we talk about that. And then I explain, all right, now what I want you to do is write down the positive stuff that you hear in your head. Knowing some athletes are going to have a really hard time with this, I use the incentive, all right, what would you tell your best friend? Your best friend falls in her stunt. Now she's moving to jumps. What would you tell her? What encouraging thing would you say? And I collect all of these. Just like with the critical coach routine, I press play and they do a full-out routine and I start yelling these encouraging, positive coach thoughts. At the end of the routine, we sit them down and we start talking. Process. What was that like for you? You'll hear things like, "It was so much more fun. I felt like a team. I was really energized when I got to the dance. I can't even remember what happened because I was just so into it. I loved performing that routine. What's actually going on inside their bodies, that the thoughts that were flowing through the brain will actually impact their breathing, their heart rate, and the different neurotransmitters that are being released in their body. Cortisol is that neurotransmitter that's released where the muscles start getting tense and they start getting really nervous, right? We don't want that to happen. Serotonin, dopamine, we want them to feel excited, right? Endorphins of flow through their body. Positive self-talk is one way to help encourage that. So, coaches, we don't just do this one day Band-Aid fix and think, oh, my team's mentally tough, right? One drill with a standing back handspring isn't going to magically get a great standing back handspring. What we need to do is intentionally, over a long period of time, keep bringing up Mental Toughness Mondays. Maybe switch it up. Talk about confidence. Talk about a positive or a growth mindset. Talk about expectations and goal settings. If you as a coach recognize that this would be a really helpful tool, and you realize, but I feel like I need to really understand mental toughness more, you are not alone. You're not supposed to be an expert at mental toughness. In fact, that's why I do what I do. I've trained, master's degree, 20 years of coaching. I was a gymnast. My background is in kinesiology education, understanding the body and the way that our brain impacts our body. Feel free, reach out to me, mindbodycheer@gmail.com, if you want to understand and learn more about how to prepare your teams to be the most fiercely competitive and mentally tough team out there. I want to leave you with this. Remember, mental toughness training does not guarantee you a championship. But I guarantee those teams that are winning championships are training mental toughness. I want to wish you all great luck this season, and I hope to hear from you soon. Take care.